Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades of all kinds, thank you for joining me no matter where you're at, cross country around this big, beautiful globe. I have returned after a little hiatus. I mean, it needs no explanation. I've been training, getting my juice back. You know the freaking deal. I get down just like anybody else, right? Now, this is a story that came out this took place last night. It freaking mortified me, man. I gotta keep it real with you. This mortified me. Um, and Bernie Sanders is rightly getting ripped for it. Bernie Sanders was the mayor of Burlington, remember? And then he was a representative from Vermont. They only get one of those, but they get two senators. We have a funny system, right? And now he's a senator. I think I guess he's running again in 2024. I mean, is it a little late in the game for that, pal? I don't know. I don't know, but I think he's being spineless as ever, and people are letting him know it. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Here, pal. So this is in NBC News. Suspect arrested in Vermont shooting of 3 U.S. college students of Palestinian descent. A 48-year-old man was arrested after a search of his apartment near the scene of the shooting, Burlington police said Sunday. By the way, you know what my answer is when it comes to shit like this. I think you need to arm, train, educate, and organize everyone. You rally around Muslims and Arabs if they're getting attacked. You rally around Jews if they're getting attacked. You rally around trans folks or Asian folks if they're getting attacked. You arm, train, educate, and organize. You unite them and you make it international. Look, if there are people on Mars, we make it interplanetary. You dig? This is the real deal. This is the greatest game. Because when it comes to someone's life, man, you never get it back. Look. Police arrested a 48-year-old man in connection with Saturday night's shooting of 3 U.S. students of Palestinian descent as the FBI began an investigation and pressure grew to focus on the possibility of a hate motive. You cannot decouple this from what is taking place between Israel and Palestine. It cannot be decoupled, ladies and gentlemen. This is blowback. I'm sure it was a right-wing lunatic. People are looking at it right now saying it was an oath keeper. I don't know about that. Okay. Patriot Front, Oath Keeper, Proud Boys. They're all a bunch of fake tough guys and wannabe wise guys. And of course, phony nice guys when they want to get laid or paid. Don't ask me how I know that. I just know. Relatives identified the victims and their colleges gave updates on their medical status. All 3 are being treated in the hospital. This is awful. Hisham al-Ratani is a junior at Brown University who, according to Brown's president, Christina H. Paxson, is being treated at a hospital and is expected to survive. Thank God if there is one. Keenan Abdulhamid is a student at Haverford College in Pennsylvania. Hey, man. Administrators said he was recovering from a gunshot wound in the hospital. Okay, good. Tassin Ahmed is a student at Connecticut's Trinity College, which said he was in stable condition in the hospital. The suspect, Jason J. Eaton, was detained Sunday afternoon near the scene of the shooting. Police said in a statement that a search of his property gave investigators and prosecutors probable cause to believe that Mr. Eaton perpetrated the shooting. 2 of the 3 victims were wearing keffiyehs, a symbol of Palestinian nationalism. And look, I'm an internationalist. I'm not a fan of nationalism per se, but this is a sign of national identity. We believe in politism, at least, right? Some sort of politics. Look, you have to have nations to have internationalism, right? But this is it's actually, I think if you've ever seen one, look it up, check it out. They're neat. They look good. I had a girlfriend in college, who, man, she wore some fly ass jobs, bro. I'm talking hot pink, neon blue, bright yellow. It was legit. So some of this stuff, it looks really cool, but because there is a political aspect to it, or religious aspect to it, or national aspect to it, you're always going to have reactionaries. No matter what it is, I'm telling you right now. Unfortunately, after 9/11, not that it would have been better if Muslims got shot, but a bunch of Sikhs got shot and attacked. It was awful. It was all, for me, it was all about anti-fascist action now. Up the AFA. I don't know if you got to patrol. I don't know what in large groups what you got to freaking do, but you got to get it done. You got to let these guys know we're going to be doing some head busting if you try that shit. Yeah, look, I don't care what you. I'm not a pacifist. I'm not a pacifist. I'm not a dove. Okay? I believe in peace and prosperity for all, but some people need busted up. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Nazis need smacked around. When the freaking Proud Boys showed up to campus, what do you think I did? You think I sat here, hid in my room? No, we went down there and ran them off. Okay? Until the state police had to step in because campus security and town clowns couldn't handle it. I have a video on that, I think. Now let's see what people are saying. Let's see what Bernie Sanders had to say, and let's see what people are saying to Bernie Sanders. And look, I think he's a spineless one. I think he folds like a lawn chair. I really think he does constantly. And it has made it really hard for American progressives to get anything done. The state of the left is bad, okay? Like the State of the Union, the state of the left is bad. They are in disarray. And when you have spineless leaders who have no vision, it's just going to be worse. You're going to have that circular firing squad become even more and more intense. Bernie Sanders says, it is shocking and deeply this is like a really empty statement. It is shocking and deeply upsetting that 3 young Palestinians were shot here in Burlington, Vermont. Hate has no place here or anywhere. I look forward to a full investigation. My thoughts are with them and their families. At Send Sanders. Okay. Left Voice responds, it's actually not that shocking given their senator has been supporting genocide of Palestinians, or at least resisting a ceasefire, which is basically akin to the same, right? Jeff Melton says, Palestinians, thank you for your crocodile tear, Senator. Support a ceasefire, you effing coward. Rep Dem Oligarchy says, F you, Bernie, for your silence when it was time to talk and your hollow words when you need to shut up. You stood with genocide. He's an empty man with hollow words. I've said this. That's one of my favorite lines in all of the English language. Calling someone an empty man with hollow words. It gets the point across, don't it? You could say hollow man with empty words. Either way. Okay, either way. Hollow man with empty words. You stood with genocide of support the Nazi Zionist terrorists. This attack is on you as much as it is on your man Crooked Biden. By the way, Netanyahu, stop defending Hitler challenge. Why is he defending Hitler? What the fuck are you doing? This constant defense of Hitler and the Nazis and all this other nonsense, what are you doing? They tried to exterminate you. Why are you making excuses for him? Saying, oh, it wasn't really Hitler, it was actually Muslims that convinced him. No, actually it wasn't. Or there would fucking be no Israel, you dumbass. Excuse my language. Mary Nejadine says, you have blood on your hands, Bernie. You could have asked for a ceasefire a month ago. You could have supported your friend Genocide Joe Biden. Do you support a ceasefire in Burlington, Bernie? I'm just asking. Just asking. Do you support a ceasefire in Washington, D.C.? Bernie, the bullets are flying all around. So maybe you could support a ceasefire for people getting bombed in refugee camps and hospitals with make-believe command centers in them. Sam Meta says, no call for a ceasefire, but we get this half-assed statement from you. Trollbait says ceasefire. Dr. Renee Levant says ceasefire now. Ali Abdallah says if you really cared about Palestinians, you demand an immediate permanent ceasefire and block any more U.S. weapons to the genocidal Zionists. You don't care, though. Eliza Ferrari says your behavior has consequences. Empire of Lies says the Senate must demand an immediate ceasefire, and if Israel refuses, cut off U.S. tax dollars and all U.S. weapons. And if they don't, they are equal partners in Israel's killing spree. Ceasefire now, nothing less is acceptable. Code Pink is calling for a ceasefire. Human Rights Watch is calling for a ceasefire. Amnesty International is calling for a ceasefire. The UN's calling for a ceasefire. The friggin' Pope's calling for a ceasefire. What the fuck do you need, Bernie? Hundreds of millions of people around the world have marched demanding excuse my language, demanding a ceasefire to stop the killing. That's what a ceasefire is for. It's bilateral. A bilateral ceasefire to stop the killing, negotiations for acceptable conditions on both sides or all sides, however you phrase it. Maybe it's best to have multiple sides there, right? Multiple, I hate to use the word cartels, but politically speaking, it fits, right? Multiple cartels there. It can't just be Likud and Hamas, right? You need a hostage swap because Israel admits to holding thousands of Palestinian political prisoners. And by the way, Israeli political prisoners. If you're Hamas, you know, if you're trying to score a political win here or something like that, you could say, hey, you need to let some of them go too. Right? We're talking about non-violent folks here as much as possible. Some violence is acceptable in self-defense, though, right? Of course. You know, that's the law. Under the UN Charter, people are allowed to resist occupation by force if necessary. Trotsky's Traveler says, call for a ceasefire, you jackass. Some Ambulance Outreach Taco Truck says, maybe you should grow some balls and call out Israel and try to curb this nonsensical reactionary Palestinian hatred. Gulagov with a picture of Stalin. How fitting. Stalin was a real handsome guy in the young days. I understand why people use those pictures, but boy, what a freaking gravedigger of revolution he was. He said, yes, they should only be shot and bombed in Gaza with U.S. supplied weapons. That's a good point. Phil Good says, you know what would help ease hostilities? A ceasefire. I laugh because if I don't, I'll cry. Mr. Planning's hashtag Mr. Sellout. Damn. Combat says, stop arming Zionist terrorists, Senator. Nomad Observer says, you rejected a ceasefire, you criminal Zionist. Truth Seeker says, it's okay, Bernie. Keep your faux outrage to yourself. If you cared even a little bit about Palestinians or just human lives, you would have spoken up 7 weeks ago. It's too little too late. No, you need to speak up now. You need to speak up now and call for a ceasefire now. Look, you'll notice every November 11th, I'm very specific about people recognizing Armistice Day. Not Veterans Day. I have no problem celebrating veterans. Okay? I am a veteran. I'm a veteran of foreign wars. I'm a lifetime member of my post. Okay? Thank you, Thomas. Thanks to my brother who's also a veteran of foreign wars. He's a Marine. Okay? Okay, a lot of you are vets. All right? A lot of you are veterans. Right? But Armistice Day has a specific political meaning. You understand? It is a day for ceasefires. It is a day for negotiations coming through. It is a day for the end of the Great War, World War I. Okay? But why did it happen? Did it happen because King said, I've seen enough death and destruction? Is it because liberals were like, I've seen enough death and destruction, the liberal democracies? Not a chance. It happened because workers, tenants, and students and military members stood up around the world, okay? In 12 countries, they created the Soviet Union. Socialists created 12 countries out of the carcass of the Tsarist Russian Empire. Okay, you ain't going to get this anywhere else, pal. You're not going to get this. You're not going to get this anywhere else. People aren't going to be they don't talk like this. And that's okay. That's okay. They have their own style. I'm trying to give it to you raw and real, pal. They stood up around the world. They stopped shipping weapons. They stopped shipping supplies. They stopped taking orders. They started mutinying. There were general strikes everywhere. That is why the war ended. That is what people should know. That is the political force that I talk about when I reference the scientific truth. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact that the workers of the world united cannot be stopped by the capitalists of the world, even if they're united. That is the scientific truth. Sacred truth is just all men, women, and children deserve democratized workplaces, living spaces, learning spaces, institutions. We got all these things. It's not flowery language. It's not flowery language. It's not for a rally. Okay? It is to enumerate something to you as best as I can. Okay, now look. I'm going to leave it at that. We have some other stuff to talk about. Matter of fact, we might do an update on. I want to do a live stream on that, though. Update for Israel, an update for Palestine, what exactly is going on there, give you some of the historical context. Okay, I hear almost nobody talking about the Balfour Declaration. I hear most people know about the Nakba. Okay, you have to know about the partition of Africa, the partition of India, these things that happened before, momentous, okay, and quite malicious acts that caused the deaths of so many millions, being repeated in Palestine. Okay, with the Balfour Declaration, the Nakba, and the 1967 war, the 1973 war, and everything that's comes at the first Intifada and second Intifada and all this. Okay, the nature of Israel as a settler state, the movement of Zionism coming about. You need to know it. You gotta know where you came from to know where you're at. You gotta know where you came from and know where you're at to know where you're going. It is essential when you're talking about politics. It's got to be scientific. It's got to be historific. Okay? Now look, I'm going to leave it at that. I'll be back with some more. Try to do as much as I can today. Be kinder to one another. Be excellent to each other, right? Right? Correct yourself if you are not. We want you to be reasonable. We want you to be rational. And above all else, we want you to be logical, ladies and gentlemen. Choose socialism.